friends, I am Dr. Amarjit Kaur. We will resume effective writing skills, how to make writing skills better. So we will talk about essential elements today this afternoon, and then we will move to the structure of writing. Okay, so we will talk about 4 essential elements of effective writing. The first one is solid structure. So as I was discussing in the previous session, that the structure should have and must have 3 components: introduction, body and conclusion, and each one of them is important. We must have introduction, which is catchy, which makes somebody interested to read. We must have body addressing all the expected queries, concerns and purpose, objective of the writing, and then conclusion should be very, very impactful. It should really leave an impact on the heart and the mind of the person. That person persuades it. Person gets back to you with appreciation, with concern, with conclusion or comments, or it leads to business deal. So it should be outcome based. That's how I must say. The second point is about the clarity. The clarity should be crystal clear. In fact, the message which we are writing, there should not be any scope for any ambiguity, right? It should not lead to any mixed message or confusing signal. So as a writer, you need to ensure that the message is so crystal clear that it doesn't leave for any confusing signal or ambiguous message. So that is the second element in the writing. So you need to really pay attention to written skills if you really wish to improve to this aspect. The third essential element of improving writing skill is that we should have consistency. It should not sound very strong that I'm trying hard to be consistent. It should be candid, right? So for a couple of times we go and watch movie and we come back and we say कि इस हाफ में पता नहीं क्या हुआ, बीच में अचानक उस तरफ अचानक ये कहाँ से आ गया, अचानक ये कैसे हो गया. So there are a couple of things which doesn't make sense to the person who is watching the movie. And same is in writing skills, you are presenting your thought, your idea, your proposal, your concern. So make sure it is not something which is inconsistent with what you wrote previously, in the previous paragraph, in the previous line. Okay, so we should try to build on the previous view which we wrote in the previous paragraph or previous line. Okay, so it should be building on the previous idea and then we conclude at the end. So it should be in order, right? So this consistency is very, very important. That keeps the reader interested, that brings clarity to the person, and your output is going to be very, very accepted by the reader. Okay, so if you really wish to improve your writing skills, do pay attention on bringing the consistency in your document. Okay, then the selection of medium is also another important point. It's not that everyone would be able to log into a website and read. We have still a generation alive who wish to read in the newspaper, the pamphlets in hard form, or they wish to read on the hoardings, the big hoardings, right? So you need to know who are my audience, whom I am trying to send this message. Is this message meant for elderly or kids or teenagers or young generation? Whom I am addressing to? Every written communication has its own meaning and objective. So this will depend that who are my audience. Accordingly, my medium should be decided. That medium which you are actually using to write should be accessible to the ones who are your audience. Okay, so let's say if I have to send some message to a very elder person, 80 plus, or somebody who's on the bed in a hospital, I have to send somebody some message, elderly people admitted in hospital. Forget about, they may not have access to the email, they may not have access to the laptop, they may not have access to even a smartphone. think about it. So what should be the medium you want to communicate to them? And you have to communicate in writing only, then be sure about the medium. So in business, most of the businesses have email as a most common communication, but still there are memos, there are notices. If I have to send a message to a very mass, big population, and I still want that and if I know that there are people who are working at a site, they may not have access to the notice board. They can access only email while they are in the guest house or in the hotel. So I should ensure that I choose the medium accordingly. Right? If I have to communicate something interesting, not so much official or semi-formal something, I may put up a notice or a color brochure in the cafeteria area, in the coffee lounge of the company. Right? So selection of medium is very, very important. So by these 4 basic elements, we can actually improve our writing skill if we do keep attention or pay attention to these things. Now I would like to talk about writing process. So if we follow that 3x3 writing process rule, which I am going to discuss now, which we call as 3x3 writing process, certainly we can improve upon our writing skills if we follow this structure. So this 3x3 rule says we should have pre-writing work, we should have the writing work, and then lastly we should spend some time in revising. So the pre-writing means what? First of all, spend some time in thinking, in analyzing, in researching, anticipating that what I am trying to write, who are my audience, whom I am trying to address to, what is the question or the query I am addressing to. It could be simply a complaint that you are trying to answer, or simply it is a proposal you are going to send to a new client altogether. So first of all, spend some time in analyzing what I am writing to. For example, these slides which I am using for the purpose of communicating my message or my ideas about improving writing skill is what? This PPT which is in front of you is basically a medium of written communication. Isn't it? It's a good example, an interesting thing, right? So what did I do? I thought in advance that whom I am actually talking to. I am talking to a large population of primarily young people across the country who are interested to improve their writing skills. Anybody who is watching this video or live session or may watch this video later on the YouTube or on the website of CEC, they would be actually the ones who are interested to know that how to improve writing skills. So what should I do? I should be knowing about my audience, right? So I am, before writing, I am analyzing that who are my audience. And what is the message or what is the objective of this PPT, this written communication medium? My objective is to brief you in a short span that how to improve writing skills. Isn't it? So unless I am sure about my objective of writing this PPT, preparing this PPT PowerPoint presentation, or I know my audience, I can't do much. I can't do well in my written communication. Though I am using written and I am using the verbal communication as well, this written communication is supporting. In fact, I am explaining what I am. But even then, this is a permanent source to you for future reference as well. After that, I need to research. Before writing, I need to research. I need to read. I need to read what writing skills are and what are the most important aspects of writing skills I must cover in my document, right? And then I must adopt to the requirement of the person or my audience. So this is a good live example where I am using my own example to brief you that what all we need to do as a pre-writing. Here, just remember, we have not started writing yet. Isn't it? I am just thinking, I am researching, I am analyzing, anticipating. कि क्या चाहिए? Anticipate करना means क्या चाहिए मेरे audience को? My audience could be my boss, my audience could be my junior, My audience could be a salesperson. My audience could be a customer who is angry with me in a business. My audience could be the government whom I'm writing to. My audience could be anybody, or the young people like you who are watching me live. Okay, so make sure that you know your audience, that you research what is the most important of what you are writing. To analyze the subject matter, the objective. That is the first, after those three, this is the first thing. The second is writing in itself. Per se, when we commit writing, this writing means when we are actually writing on a piece of paper, on a slate, on a takhti. In my childhood, I used slate and all, or an email and a computer or laptop or my mobile where I'm writing a mail, or my mobile where I'm writing through WhatsApp. Most of the businesses now, they have their WhatsApp groups, for formal communication even. Okay, so whatever I'm using. So here the second step is we need to pay attention to organize my thoughts in a way that I follow those three parts: the body, my introduction, body, and my conclusion. Be it an email, my introduction should be as precise and interesting as it should be. It could be. Okay. So to write, we follow this principle of KISS, KISSS, right? So we should try to keep it simple and short. KISS here means keep it simple and short. Do not try to use difficult word. Do not try to use try to bombard the written document just with heavy words with no meaning, no consistency. No. Please follow this principle of KISS. You will remember this KISS. KISS means keep it short and simple, right? Organize your work, the actual writing work, in a way that person gets interested from the beginning itself. Persons finds worth reading it. Person gets the answer, the query he has or she has. Person gets the answer to the proposal, or gets the detail of all the proposal or the product you are trying to sell to. So make sure you organize in a way that this is in order, there's a consistency, and you are using the right size, right font, right color, if you are using a software to write, right kind of language, everything. So if you are writing on a piece of paper, again you need to organize in a way that it is meaningful. If you are writing an email, make sure it follows the protocol of writing an email. We do have protocols for writing an email, writing a memo, writing a notice. I'm going to cover all this in detail in future sessions. Okay, so organizing the document, the written work, is very, very important by following those three parts, minimum three parts: introduction, body, and conclusion, and this principle of KISS. Okay, the third, in this 3x3 rule, the third rule is revising. Whatever you have written is not enough. Believe me or not, I write about 100 mails or a day on an average. If not 100, maybe little less than that. But there used to be time when I used to write 100 mail. Nowadays, the frequency has gone down because of change in my job or the culture at the workplace. But every time I do read my mail after writing it, I always find one or two mistakes for sure. This mistake could be simply a space between the comma or space between the words, or just any language mistake, or the word is written wrongly. So there could be anything. The design, you think you need to change the size of the paragraph. You feel even your thoughts. You try to rearrange to bring more consistency. So the point I'm trying to bring here is, make sure you do not submit or send the written communication or simply by writing it and just completing it. No, please do space attention to proofreading, editing, rereading and evaluating. Am I just evaluate the piece of writing you have indulged into? Question yourself, was the message I was supposed to convey is part of this, or is my communication communicating what I was supposed to be communicating? Or my message, my concern, my query, my answer is there in my written communication or not? You may have to answer a query, you may have to raise a concern, you may have to seek a clarification, whatever could be the purpose. So just ask yourself, did I get, by evaluating the written communication, by rereading it, did I communicate that message or not? Right? So really, friends, this proofreading, editing and rereading is of equal importance as is writing the first draft. Okay, so this, after this 3x3 rule, the last thing I want to talk about is certain tips for improving the writing skills. So this would be the concluding slide here. So we have couple of points to discuss. Especially in the business communication, your writing skills does matter. They do matter. So it does matter that how do you write. So writing skills do matter a lot. Okay, so first thing is that always plan it. Just don't pick up your mail, your laptop or start writing. Just do not pick up your phone and start writing, or just do not pick up your pen and paper and start writing it. Think about it. Pay even 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, basis on what kind of writing work. If it is small message, reply, few seconds will be enough. If it is a mail, communicating about a proposal, maybe 5 minutes are enough. Time will vary. It will vary basis on your intellect level, basis on the information you have in hand, basis on the person you are dealing with. If the person you are dealing with is difficult, that in your understanding or in your perception, person is a difficult person to handle, then you may like to spend more time in planning than you spend generally for someone else. Okay, so the first thing is, do not jump on writing, do pay attention on thinking, on planning. The second is, be direct. So direct pays. We in our Indian culture, we have a concept, especially in North India where I live, we say, गोल गोल जलेबी के जैसे घुमाते हैं, and that's a fact. Do not do that. That is actually something more irritating, more against the principle of good writing skills. Then it will give you more damage than the benefit. Believe me or not, you will actually never be able to develop a trust with the reader, with the audience, with the reader. If you try to make that gol gol ghumao wala message, you will never try to make a connect. You will finish writing for the first time, but believe me or not, you are going to lose your trust. Integrity factor demands that you write as direct and simple as possible. People may understand this thing little late in the career, but I'm insisting to be very direct and straight. That pays. Be polite. There's a difference between direct and impolite. I'm not encouraging to be impolite in the message, in the writing document, in the written document. Be precise and direct, but don't try to ghumao that. Okay, because you will not. That will, in the long run, in the short run, you may handle that situation, but in the long run, you are going to lose the trust. Your integrity will be questionable. The third is coherent. Make sure your words are coherent to what you want to communicate. There's coherent to the question, to the concern. Whatever you are writing, your selection of words, your vocabulary should be coherent to the message you want to communicate. Okay, it should be coherent to your thinking, to your idea. It should not be incoherent. Avoid jargons. I've seen people, people feel good about talking about those big jargons, and be it the business jargons or otherwise. They're not helpful. They just show a sham walk, you know what I mean? So try to avoid jargons. Then the next point, as I said, and I'm re-insisting, read what you write. Never ever shoot your mail without reading it once. Never ever shoot your letter or send your letter or notice without reading it. Or never ever sign, even you wrote something, you took a printout and you signed it. It happens. We tend to find mistake for sure once we read it. Small of the small mistake you will find, but I have never come across a person who himself or herself has not found his or her own mistake in the writing after writing for the first time. So it's that much important. Follow this principle of KISS, as I said. Keep it short and simple. That pays. You will remember this word, I'm sure. Then consider your audience. Without knowing that whom I'm addressing to or who are my audience, your message will get lost. Your effectiveness of the message will get lost. So to improve your writing skill, always remember your audience in mind. Then the next thing is request feedback. You guys go and search on e-commerce sites, right? And there are many sites, after the moment you buy a product, suddenly a message pops up for review, requesting you for review. What is that? That is the feedback they are trying to get about the product. But same way there are feedbacks the moment we have a WhatsApp call. So if you call somebody on WhatsApp and then there's a message popping up in terms of 1 to 5 star and they ask for the feedback. So that is the feedback about the experience, about the product. Similar way, if you read articles online, right, they ask for the feedback. If the like or dislike, even this particular slide you are watching, if you go and watch later on the YouTube and you give the feedback, so those signs at the bottom of the presentation are basically a request for the feedback. It could be a thumbs up or thumbs down. It could be a smiley or even that is feedback, right? Many books, they have one page, seeking suggestions, seeking inputs from teachers, professors who are using books, from students. Even that is a request for feedback to improve in future. In the mail, we may request feedback. This is my opinion. What do you say? Do you agree or disagree? Even that is seeking feedback. Of course, there is a limitation in written communication, as I earlier said, that in written communication, there is a time lag in the feedback. The request for feedback and the actual feedback we get, there is a time lag. But of course, that time is shorter in case of spoken communication. But nevertheless, due to the electronic development, the waves development, that science has brought us to a stage where even in written communication, feedback could be given very fast, especially if it is not in the printed form, in a format where we use printouts or written on a piece of paper. If it is an electronic communication, written communication, of course, then the feedback is not as delayed as it can be delayed in case of a book, in case of a letter being sent to somebody in writing. Okay, and then the last point is practice every day. So what do? I do keep saving certain written documents. I have my own personal folder. Whenever I come across some good piece of writing, be it a research paper, be it a PowerPoint presentation, be it a review, be it a feedback, be it a couple of things. I have so many subfolders in that, and I read them, refer them on daily basis, on regular basis, right? So that's a practice, So one practice to store, to save good written works, and then do write every day. I'm not saying writing for a book, that's not everybody's cup of tea, but practice every day in sense of in terms of writing a small letter, a mail, and by following the rules which we discuss. Follow the rule of KISS, follow the rule of having a body, an introduction, a conclusion part, and believe me or not friends, you will be able to really make an impact on your readers or to somebody whomsoever you are communicating if you follow these small basic things.